Guys, one of my favorite topics to talk about in this business is how to sell deals. And if you're already selling deals, it's how to sell more deals, right? How to sell just more and more deals. And the guest that I have on today, Matt Justice from Arizona, is probably one of the best people I know that can talk on this topic. This guy just told me he's finishing off the month and starting this quarter, selling a bunch of deals, doing a bunch of deals over the summer. And we're here just to dissect it, what he's doing in his disposition part of the business, and also in Real Tales podcast style, how he got his start. So, Matt Justice, welcome to the pod, man. Good to have you.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, before we get into what I just talked about, let's take it back a little bit. Before you were in real estate, tell me how your life was like, and then how did you learn about wholesaling, and what eventually got you into the business?
Yeah, so before real estate, I was a confused little kid that just came out of college. I just graduated. I graduated with not knowing what I wanted to do. I came out of college more confused than going into college. And so now that I have this degree, I'm like, man, what the heck do I do with my life? And so I just took like about a month, 2 months to kind of just sit in my thoughts and think. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to do like I'm the type of person that wants to be paid based off of my performance. So I'm like, okay, that's probably sales, right? So what sales jobs do I want to get into? So I started applying to a bunch of sales jobs, and after interview and getting some opportunities, I was like, man, I don't really want to do any of this. This all sounds like it sucks. I just don't want to do this. And so I started doing a ton of research on YouTube and just Googling like, how do I actually make money? What's the quickest way for me to make money? And real estate came up on pretty much everything that I looked into. And my parents taught me when I was younger that I need to get into real estate to buy properties and to have tenants pay your mortgage, so that way your money's working for yourself. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to get into real estate at some point, how do I actually do this right now? So that's what I started Googling and YouTubing. And it was pretty much all just like, being a real estate agent, wholesaling, and like fixing and flipping and stuff like that. Like, okay, well, fix and flip, I don't really have any money and I don't want to go and take all this risk on right now. And I really don't want to be a licensed agent. So then I was like, all right, let's see what wholesale is all about. So I just dove into researching that. And then it just clicked. And I was like, all right, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to wholesale. And then maybe I can build up some capital and start to buy rental properties and maybe do some fix and flips and stuff like that later on. So I found out just through Google and YouTube. And that's how I got started.
What was the first video you saw on wholesaling, and what year
Um,
was this?
this was in 2021. This was around like August of 21, and it had to be some type of Brent Daniels deal, YouTube video.
Okay.
And I think what I literally searched is how do I wholesale my first deal?
Okay.
And it had to be Brent. I remember asking my mom if she knew anyone that did wholesaling that I can look up on YouTube, and she reached out to one of our friends that was trying to wholesale, but he like ended up doing one deal and then kind of stopped. And he gave me three people. I remember one was Brent. I think the other one was Max Maxwell. And then the third, I couldn't tell you who the third person is, but the first person I searched up was Brent. And that's how I got submersed into Brent and Jameel and Pace, was just by finding him and researching all their videos.
And do you come from a family of real estate investors or real estate agents?
No, my mom did get licensed in California. My parents have had a couple rental properties, but nothing like super scalable and nothing to the point where they could go and quit their jobs and not have to make like active income. So they didn't have a ton, but they've always had at least a couple rental properties.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And you mentioned your arc in college where you walked in and you walked out even more confused than when you originally walked in. What was your original plans with college? And just talk to me about what your experience was like during that time of your life when you were in university, and talk to me about if there was anything that you've gone that you have used as a skill in what you do today.
Man, that is such a good question. So, when I first went to college, I wanted to be a sports agent. That was why I was going to school. And so I went to one college in California for a semester, and I played basketball my entire life. And so I was very disciplined through high school, junior high, pretty much my entire life. And in college, I wasn't playing basketball. And so I went to a very small school in California, and I'm like, man, this kind of sucks. I want the actual college experience. Like, I want to have fun in college. And so I decided to transfer to the University of Arizona. And so I started in a business major because they didn't have sports management major. And so with that, I found out that if I wanted to like minor in sports management, you would have to do it as an emphasis, which was like, I don't know, 6 less credits. And so then I decided to switch over into communications, and then I ended up not even minoring in sports management and minored in sports nutrition instead. And so it just kind of took me through a whole whirlwind of like what I actually wanted to do. But to that point, like I even majoring in communication and with what we do, right? Like we were talking to a ton of people all the time. I honestly didn't learn a single thing from class. I couldn't tell you one thing that was like, oh, I remember this theory about this thing that I can apply to today. However, going to school, I think, was very important because it taught me other things about life in itself. That, like, one, how do I actually live on my own without my parents? And then, two, I came to a state where I didn't really know anyone, especially in this city. I didn't really know anyone in Tucson. So now I have to go and make friends in a place that I don't know a ton of people. And I was already kind of introverted in itself. And so having to make friends was definitely difficult and stepping out of my comfort zone, which then led me to other things, into like joining a fraternity, which joining a fraternity led me to then get into a internship doing door-to-door sales for a solar company. And like I was still introverted at that point. And then that's where I realized that sales was like the thing that I should probably get into because it's based on your performance. And that helped me just really step out of my comfort zone. Like no one wants you to knock on their door and sell you. You know, like you're stepping into someone's private space. So that's very difficult. So that gave me a huge mindset shift in talking to people in general, And that was really what I got from college, was learning how to make friends, learning how to actually live on my own, and learning how to talk to people.
Yeah. And I agree with that. So I did go to school. I didn't finish, granted, but I hear a lot of people say like, oh, college this, college that, college isn't important. You don't need a college degree anymore. And there is some facts to that. You know, depending on what you want to do, right? But one thing that I think people miss out on college, or that don't really talk about a lot about college, is the environment that it forces you into. And you can take that example and put it into a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I was talking about this with somebody earlier today, right? Times of desperation are where a lot of results happen in your life, right? And that's not just college. I mean, you can apply that to anything in life, right?
Right.
When your back is against the wall, you're in a new city, you don't know what to do, right? You don't want to just live, in your apartment or in your dorm alone for the next 4 years of your life. You got to do something, right? So it forces you into that environment. So I love what you said about that, and I think that applies universally in a lot of different things, and definitely what we do. I mean, I was talking today. I was at a closing table today, talking with my title agent, and we were talking about everything that happened with the real estate agents and with their commissions, and talk about putting your back against the wall with that with buyers agents. Like they got to adapt, or they just are not going to uh, thrive the way they were thriving over these last how many years. So
Right.
I love what you said there. So, so you left college, you stumbled across YouTube and just YouTubed your way into knowing what wholesaling is. Now, talk to me about how you actually took action. What were the action steps you took to eventually land your very first deal?
So it was a couple things. So my parents, I have the best family. Like they're just so supportive of pretty much anything that I want to actually go and do. So I told them, "Hey, I'm going to wholesale to make money." And so I let them know kind of what exactly it was, what the steps of wholesaling is. And so the house that I live in, they were like, "Hey, we're thinking about selling this. Do you want to wholesale it for us?" And so I was like, sure, let me try. And so the first thing that I did and that I knew to do was just post on Facebook. And so I posted in a Facebook group, "Hey, I have a house under contract. Does someone want to buy it?" And who reached out to me was Brandon and Trana. And that was really the first step of getting into real estate and having a conversation with him. And you just had him on, and
Yeah.
him and his brother are my best friends. I love those guys now. Like, and this is how I got introduced to them, which is so crazy. And so I was already watching like Brent Daniels and Pace and Jameel, and I was thinking about getting into one of their programs. And so I'm trying to sell this house. I talked to Brandon about it, and then my parents are like, "Actually, we don't really want to sell it. We're just gonna keep it." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I tell them, but that conversation with me and Brandon, we just hit it off right away. And so we just started talking all the time. And I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to do this. Like, can you help me out? Like, what did you do? What do you do?" And he told me about Jameel and astro flipping. And so I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna join this community because I definitely need like an actual step-by-step process." And so I joined the community. And then from there, I just networked with a bunch of people that could help me get deals done. And he connected me with someone in his company. And my very first deal, it took me about a month and a half ish. And it took me from like, because that first point of really taking action, like just sitting on the phones and like sitting and really trying to do deals, was September 1st. And I think I closed my first deal like October 15th, 20th, somewhere around there. And so it was about a month and a half. And I got the deal from Keegley and I sold it. I actually sold it to my parents because they were like, "Hey, since you're doing this, we want to be fix and flippers now. So like, can you find us some deals?" And I was like, "Hey, I found this deal. Like, can you pay me 5 grand? I think it's a good one." And they're like, "Yeah." So that's actually how I did my first deal, was
That's
I sold
awesome.
it to my parents. Yeah.
You got it from Keely and you sold it to your parents, and did you make 5 grand on it?
Yeah, I made 5 grand on my very first deal.
Heck yeah, and it only took you a month and a half.
Yeah, and then I actually have a really weird journey. So, my second deal took me about another month and a half, and I kind of found it same way through another wholesaler. So actually, let me take you a step back. My very first contract, because I didn't get it, I got my very first contract in 2 weeks, and I didn't know that you can go and take another wholesaler's deal and just go and send it out and try and get a buyer for it. I thought you actually had to go and commit to this. So I went and committed to an assignment, and I put $5,000 non refundable on this contract. And it was in Sierra Vista, which is a small town outside of Tucson. And so I'm searching for buyers and no one wants it. And so I'm like, crap. Well, I ended up canceling that contract like a month later because I had a super long close. And so I lost my $5,000 on my very first contract. And but that leads me to my second deal. So I get another deal from a different wholesaler. Just I think I found him off Facebook. But that property was in Sierra Vista. And I had that deal that I put my money down on. And I found a ton of buyers in Sierra Vista for that deal. So then when I got this one in, it was an easier sell. And so I ended up selling that one within probably like a couple hours. They're like, "Hey, this one looks really good. I just need to go walk it and confirm." And I was like, "Cool." They went and walked it and they're like, "Cool, we're good to go." And then that one I only made like $3,000 on. But then that's why that only took a month and a half after that. Um, but then my third and fourth deal took me about another 4 months to do. I didn't do another deal for about 4 months. So rather than like having a longer start, I had a quick start But then in the middle of it, it took a while to get like a couple more, you know?
Yeah.
So where most people, I feel like they take 4 months maybe to get their first one. And then after that, it's like a month and a half or a month, and then they figure it out. Where it's like, I thought I figured it out. And then it took me another 4 months to get my next deal, which I think is funny.
No, no, I get that. Well, I think a lot of people they start off. I think the traditional way people learn how to start off is direct to seller, right? Calling homeowners and trying to get a deal or a contract that way, right? And that whole thing takes that's a whole sales cycle. Usually, what people say is 90 days from start. When you start prospecting or start your marketing to the end where you get paid. That people usually throw out 90 days. I've seen it take longer. I've seen it take shorter, but that's about the average. But when
Right.
you're dealing with like JVs or dealing with wholesalers and agents, you can shrink that into maybe a month or month and a half's time like yours because the deal is already out there. You just have to go and search and find it. The contract is already locked up with the seller. You just need to go and find it and dispo it, which is a challenge on its own. But I've just seen it take a lot less of a time than going direct to seller. And so how is the actual process of doing that? So are you just like going? I know you said you got your first deal from Keekly, which is a big dispo company, right? They probably like, maybe sent you an email. Are you just going through emails and just finding who has deals, or like how did you start off finding opportunities?
So a lot of it was from Facebook groups and connecting with other wholesalers in Facebook groups. That's where the majority of it started. However, I didn't really do any deals from what people were posting on Facebook. Like this is a relationship game, you know? So that first deal that they go and post on Facebook, I wasn't able to go and get sold, or it wasn't a good deal. I didn't go and shop it out, but I just wanted to grow a connection with that person. And so I grew a lot of really good connections, which has built up over the years. And now they send me opportunities and we text each other and text each other opportunities and stuff like that. I do have an email that I was having people send to me. But when I first started, my thoughts were if it's on the email blast, there's like a very great opportunity that I cannot sell this. I don't think I will be able to sell this. So I was trying to find stuff through text message, calling, and before it hit email blasts. However, I realize now there's a ton of opportunity on people's emails blasts. Some people are just not really good at texting or calling, and they'd prefer to only send out deals via email and then want you to hit them up. And so I realize now that we do get a ton of opportunities through other wholesalers sending out an email blast, but it really got built from Facebook groups and going to networking events and finding other wholesalers in the industry and letting them know like, hey, I have buyers, I can help you sell your deal. And it's funny because at first I didn't really have other buyers. I only had maybe a handful of buyers and a couple other dispo wholesalers, and so they would help me sell deals too. But it all got built through Facebook originally, then going to networking events, then figuring out other ways to go and find other people through, skip tracing and looking up tax records. And then other people, your name gets out there and people start to refer you, or all of a sudden they start to friend request you on Facebook or follow you on Instagram, and people hear what you're doing. And so that's how it built throughout the time, was just going and getting your name out there, posting on your story or Facebook saying, hey, I could go and sell deals if you guys need help. And people recognize that and want to go and actually do business with you.
I love that. So it all started through the Facebook groups, and the key thing was building the relationships, right? It wasn't just
Yeah,
texting people on Facebook just about their one deal. It was cementing a relationship and then having a period of time where you would you'll follow up with them to
exactly.
eventually build more relationships. So how give me some tips on like how somebody can really stand out from other people that are messaging these wholesalers, messaging these agents, and really build a close relationship to the people that have these deals.
I think the thing is that a lot of people, especially when you're first starting, you're so focused on the deal, and that should be your second thought, if not like your last thought, right? Like you should really be focusing on this person. Like, how can I help and serve you? How can we actually become friends? I've met my best friends in this industry just from networking, and then we happen to do deals together, and it's like if you focus on that relationship, you're going to end up getting deals. So focus on that. Focus on asking for advice and talking to people and seeing the strategies that they're doing. And then deals will end up happening because you're surrounded around it. And that's just kind of what's going on. So it's like most people are like, I just want the money. I just want to do a deal. But at the end of the day, that's not what really matters. What matters is building friendships, building really good relationships, and figuring out how you can actually go and help people. And when you have that as your first thought, you're going to end up doing deals and then end up making money. So it's about changing the thought pattern of what you're actually going after. When you go after the relationship, deals and money will be made later on. And you're doing it now with people that you like and that you're friends with, which makes it even better.
It's the best feeling in the world to make money with your friends.
Oh man, like the Trana brothers, bro. Like I don't know if they said it on your podcast and that you're about to drop that episode, but we went to Europe for 2 months and we're
Yeah.
traveling around a different country and we did 4 deals together while we were gone. And that was the best feeling ever. I'm traveling around the world with my best friends and making money with them at the same time. Like there's nothing like it.
That is incredible. That's incredible. They didn't tell that on the podcast. They told me that in private, but just the fact that you guys did that that's like a goal. That's like a vision board type thing. You gotta hang up.
Right.
What? So paint the picture for me. Other than selling people's deals, what else are you doing to help them out? Because to your point, just to expand on your point of building that connection first, what are some of the things that you went out of your way to do for wholesalers, agents that's just solely helped you build the relationship, not just sell their deal?
I mean, it's different for every person, right? And that's where sales comes in. Like selling something is not actually just going and giving people information and then hoping they buy. It's about asking them questions and seeing what they actually need. And that's the same thing with wholesalers and with real estate agents. You need to ask them questions to see exactly what they need, whether it is in their business or in their life or just some advice, or sometimes people just want someone to talk to and vent to. And it's like if you could be that soundboard and then it's like they just know who you are and what you do, they're going to end up coming to you for help when they have that deal that they want sold. So it's
Hmm.
just about really genuinely trying to build a connection with people and genuinely caring and wanting to hear what they say and what they need. And then when you figure out what they need, whether it is within real estate or not, and if you can actually go and help, like, dude, there's so many times where I'll find other people in other industries or or in a different market because we only focus on Arizona, and I'll just go and pass off connections. And that's like the same, it's the same thing. People need help with this thing. And I know someone that can possibly help. Like, hey, bro, here's this person. They can go and do this for you. So it's like passing off your resources to go and help other people to do what you can to be able to get this person to get that feeling of whatever it is that they need help with off their back.
I love it. I love it. And I do a lot of JV deals with people that are like nationwide wholesalers that come to my market because my market is Ohio and everybody's coming here for either buy and holds or I don't know people. I just been getting an influx of like wholesalers just coming to Ohio,
Yeah.
and I'm like their boots on ground. Where like if they need help going and getting pictures for a property, if they need like insider knowledge on a market, right? Because every market's different. Every market has their nuance. I'm the guy that they go and talk to about that. So it's not just about once the deal is under contract, it's also about, okay, how can we make sure this is number one, not a waste of time? And how can we actually get that contract closer to a signature? Because, getting the contract signed is just one part of the sales process, right? If you're dealing with the
Yeah.
homeowner, you got to go and see it. You got to make sure that number one, it's a deal, right? If there's like issues, within the seller or the sellers, dealing with that's something a boots on ground can help with as well. So there's a bunch of things that you can do to help with just building that relationship and just providing value.
Totally, bro. It's like there's wholesalers that do deals in Tucson that may live in Phoenix or somewhere else. And they're like, hey, man, we're about to get this property under contract. The seller just wants to shake hands with someone. Can you just go and say that, we work together and that you're helping me out in Tucson? I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll do that. Or like, hey, can you go and take pictures for me? I need pictures for this property. And I'll give you 24 hours on this before we start blasting it. It's like, cool. Heck yeah, I'll go and do that. And so it's like I'm also going to provide value for this person in other ways, and then they're also bringing it back. It's always like you're just reciprocating whatever
Yeah.
it is people are putting out there, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So talk to me about what things look like currently. Talk to me about, you're growing. I know you have a team in place of people that are in your company with you. Talk to me about what the structure of your business is like currently, and what you guys are doing as a process to find your deals, and how to dispose of them as well.
Yeah, so finding deals first, we're doing everything with other wholesalers and real estate agents. So we'll cold call real estate agents, we'll text blast real estate agents, we'll go and offer on properties that are listed on the MLS. So we get deals done that way. Wholesalers, obviously, just from getting our name out there, now we're just getting even more opportunities. And so people just know that we can go and help them sell deals. So we have wholesalers that'll come to us asking for help to sell their deal. And right now we have 3 acquisition people. So they're the ones just all looking for the deal. And then I have 2 disposition people. So they're going and actually selling all the opportunities that we get in. And then a transaction coordinator. And that's really all you kind of need in a market, I think, is a couple acquisition people and a couple dispo people to really get a ton of volume done. And so right now we're doing a ton of volume. We're selling anywhere from about 3 to 5 deals a week on average. And I think right now we just crossed over like our 105th deal for the year so far. So the team's just absolutely crushing. And I think a big thing too with being a leader is like you got to go and actually show them that the system works. Like they just have to go and put the system to place. They got to just go and do the thing, and then it's going to end up working. So it's definitely been a lot of time of showing them exactly how to go and do it and that it works for them to actually go put it into play to go and get deals done.
I love it. I love it. And so 3 acquisitions managers, what are they? Each have separate roles in different types of acquisitions, or are they all focused on doing the exact same type of sale?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm the type of person that I think like I will give you the opportunity to go and kind of do what you want because everyone is good at something else. Like I'm good at talking to real estate agents, but I wasn't great at it. I was great at talking to wholesalers and dispoing their deal. And so it's like I give my acquisition people both strategies. Hey, if you want to go and talk to wholesalers, you can. If you want to go and talk to real estate agents, you can. And so it's like I give them the opportunity to go and do that. And then they kind of figure out which one they like more. Like I have one person who really likes talking to wholesalers and will do a couple agent deals. And then I have another person that only has a couple wholesalers that send him deals, but he does way more agent deals. And then the other person I just brought on about a month ago, but she's like, I just want to talk to real estate agents. Like, don't really, you could send me a couple wholesalers, but that I don't want, I'd rather do deals with agents. So everyone is different. And so you just got to find the person that you like to call, and that could be a real estate agent, that could be a wholesaler, that could be buyers, that could be sellers. There's so many different people in this industry. And if whoever you like to pick up the phone and you're motivated to go and pick up the phone and talk to those people, that's who you should focus on calling, and so that's pretty much what I go and tell my people. So they have the opportunity to go and do both.
I love that. And how long does it usually take for somebody to really find their groove and what they really want to do, whether it be calling agents or wholesalers?
I really love the 90-day thing. Like I kind of live by it. But you could go a month in and you have to really analyze though. Like, okay, do I not like this because I haven't done a deal, or do I actually like genuinely not like talking to this type of person? Like especially if you give yourself, or if you decide that you don't want to do it before 90 days, I think 90 days is a great mark to figure out if you actually like it, because you should have a ton of volume out by then. And so if at that point they're like, I don't really like this and I haven't done anything, I don't feel like I've made any progress in it, it's just not fun for me, then it's like, okay, cool, go and try and call someone else. Or you could still go and try and do, I don't recommend people going and doing it like direct to seller and also going direct to agent and also talking to wholesalers. Like that's a lot,
Yeah.
with agents and wholesalers, they're very similar conversations. I call them both the referral model. And so those are like the same kind of follow-ups. It's like, hey, do you have any deals I could take a look at? where a seller, you're not saying, hey, do you have any deals I could take a look at? You know what I mean? Like that follow up is completely different. That outreach is completely different. So with the referral model, you can go and reach out to both. And then within 90 days, you should be able to figure out, I really like talking to this type of person, and I really don't like talking to this type of person. Or like, for example, like one of my guys, he's like, dude, I love talking to agents, but like I have good relationships with these like 2 or 3 other wholesalers. So I'm just going to focus on these 3 wholesalers and just keep trying to build my agent database. Like that's perfectly fine too. So it's like you'll figure it out by just going and taking action and giving yourself some time on what you actually like to do.
I love that. And then on the dispo side, how are you, because you have two dispo people, how are they splitting the deals that they are selling? Like how do you tell dispo agent one to dispo this deal, and then you know what I mean? Like how are you separating the roles, and how are you, I guess, giving each enough to dispo? That makes sense.
I mean, we get a ton of inventory in Arizona anyways, so it's kind of
Right.
honestly, it's just a free for all. It's like you guys got a race,
Okay.
which is also a good thing because now they're trying to go and lock a buyer in as soon as possible, which actually gives that buyer urgency to then go and deposit earnest money. Where it's like when you go and call a buyer and you're like, hey, my partner has someone that's super close on this. Like, what are you thinking? Like, we need to know kind of soon. And you don't have a partner. It's like, all right, are you bluffing? You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
when you actually have 2 people and they
Oh man.
actually have 2 people that are close on it and you say that, someone's going to end up selling it. And it's
Hmm.
like we live in a world of abundance. And that's
Yeah.
something that we tell them too. So it's like not every opportunity is going to be for you, even though you may be close on them. That's great, but we're going to get another opportunity that you could get to that same buyer.
I love that. So both of them will essentially be marketing at the same time to their group of buyers, and then whoever sells it first gets the deal.
Yep, pretty much.
Love it. Love it. Okay. And so uh with salespeople, right? And acquisitions and dispositions are both kind of combined in this because they both are salespeople, just different selling. How do you how can you tell that someone is good at sales? Like when you're looking to bring somebody onto your team, what are you looking for? Whether it's key characteristics, key experiences in life, even that you see that makes a good salesperson, or somebody that makes you that somebody that you really want to hire for your team.
All you're really looking for someone that will be good in sales is just mindset. Like
Yeah.
how you can't teach hard work and mindset. Like those are the 2 things that you need. Like can you get no told in your face 100 times a day to then maybe get something sold in about a month or so? And it's like if you have a person like that on your corner that's ready to go and get told no 100 times a day over and over and over and over again to maybe know that they're going to get something in about a month, like maybe, then that's the person that I want on my team because that opportunity will 100% come. And with what we do, this is all just a game of momentum. So it's like once you get that one and then you get that second, the next ones are just going to get easier and easier and easier. So all I look for is mindset. I don't care what qualifications you have. I don't care what your background was. How like what do you actually think about things? Are you persistent? Are you persistent? Are you going to follow up with people? Are you okay making hundreds of calls a day and not having anything happen from them today?
Mhm. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, you can hire somebody that's extremely talented, but also extremely toxic for your company.
Right.
Right. I mean, I've heard stories
Yeah.
of people that hire the best talent from the best places and end up either hurting their trajectory and hurting their growth as a company, or they just have to let them go just because of what they bring in negatively
Right.
into their workplace.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
like
so key.
if us as business people, as sales leaders, if we have a process that works, which we do, that's why we are profitable businesses. If we just find the right person, like, and I emphasize person, not a salesperson, a person that has the right mentality, right? Somebody that you don't have to teach how to work hard to. You can't teach how to be grateful uh, to
Yes.
bring them into your company. Then that's really all that you need. And then if you are a good sales leader and you have the right training and the right onboarding, then that's just then their trajectory is already set in stone.
Right.
You just have to keep them and really build a vision for them and a culture that they can thrive in.
Yeah, exactly, bro. You just want someone that's positive, loving, they want to help other people. Cause I mean, dude, like my team, it's a team, but it's more like a family. Like everyone helps each other out no matter who it is. Whether like it could be an acquisition person handing off another agent or wholesaler relationship to another acquisition person to go and get a deal done with that person. Or like someone may bring a deal in and then be like, hey, I don't really want to do this one. You take that. Like that's a family. You want people that are willing to share. We all want to eat together. We don't want to go and eat on our own. We're like a pack, and it's like if you have that mentality, you're positive, you work hard and you're persistent, like that's all that really matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Technical question here. When you hired your first acquisitions person, how long did it take for you to eventually start hiring a second and third one?
So what I did, I don't really recommend doing. I
Okay.
I honestly think that it's best to bring on like 5 people at once. And the reason being is because oh, excuse me. I think that having 5 people come in at once, you're most likely out of training, like just looking at material, you're probably going to have maybe one or two be like, "Hey, I don't think this is for me." And then number two, then you're going to have about two people go through about, a month to 90 days and be like, hey, I don't think this is for me. And then you have that one killer. So I think bring on a ton of people at once. Now you also are not doing multiple training processes. You're doing it all one together. And then you can go and get your one killer. But I brought on one person and I actually brought on my acquisition person. Then the second person I brought on another acquisition person who ended up not working out a couple months later. Excuse me. And then I brought on, I realized while training them that that probably wasn't a good idea, that I needed to bring on a dispo person because then now no one is selling the deals while I'm training.
Yeah.
And so I brought on a dispo person, and that's when I started going crazy, bringing on more acts.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And so talk to me about the challenges with working with wholesalers, right? Because not all wholesalers are built the same,
No.
right? You so you know this better than I do, man. Like talk to me about what are the challenges you have with JVs that people don't really talk about and how do you overcome them?
You just, dude, you got to pick and choose. Like, you don't need to do business with everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge mindset thing that people are like, oh, but I could be losing out on money. It's like, yeah, but you have a massive headache waiting to happen. Like you do not need to do business with everyone. Do business with people that communicate well and are fast to communicate. There's so many questions that buyers may have or that we may have, and we just need the answer right away. If they're taking forever to get you the answer, it's like you can end up losing a relationship with that buyer, or something along the lines of that, or having people be like, hey, I do have this property. Can you sell it? And you go and sell it, and then they now don't have a contract for it. And you're like, dude, what the heck? So there's
That
a
one
lot of
personally
things.
hurts.
Yeah, it's insane. And now you can go and lose another relationship with a buyer. And so it's really about trying to I'm the type of person that trusts until you show me I can't trust you. But if you don't have communication, good communication, then I'm not going to prioritize you. If you communicate with me very well and we're fast to communicate with each other and we just hit it off, I'll do business with you. But like if I already feel some type of friction, it's like, bro, I don't need your business. I'll go and find someone else that I actually like to go and do business with.
Love it. Love it. So you mentioned the trust thing. What are some other key, whether technical or just soft skills that you see as red flags in wholesalers that you just would avoid?
Um, Red flags that I'd see in other wholesalers that I'd avoid.
I'll say
I
the first one, not showing a redacted PA.
I mean, I personally I don't do that. I don't ask
Okay.
for a redacted purchase and sale agreement before I go and shop out the deal. It what we do ask for though is close of escrow, title, and access. And if they
Hmm.
can't give me those three, I already know you're 9 times out of 10 not direct on it, you
Hmm.
know? And so it's like I ask for those three things. And if they can't give me that, we're most likely not shopping your deal out. Unless I'm like, dude, this one's a freaking killer. Like, we need to get this one out. You know what I mean? There's
Mhm.
sometimes the really good opportunities, but that rarely ever happens. So it's like, if you can't communicate those things, and again, it comes to communication. Like, if you
Mhm.
can't communicate those things, we'll just probably not work together.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so when dealing with wholesalers and I guess agents as well, your time to sell a deal is usually shorter than it would be if you were a direct to seller, right? Because I've done both. I know that direct to sellers, usually have a 7 to 10 day inspection period. With especially if it's a hot deal with a wholesaler, usually that time frame is less. So my question to you is, how are you guys? What's your guys' process for actually putting your deal out to buyers and selling them for as quickly as you can?
So what we do is we put all the information into a spreadsheet about the deal, and that spreadsheet will pretty much just go and shoot out a deal text in our format, and we'll go and make a Dropbox link with our Dropbox account. And then as soon as we get that in, we're going in texting and calling the buyers that we think is the perfect fit for this deal. And at that time, we're also going to be sending out a text blast to the other buyers that haven't really given us a criteria. And then we'll put it on the email blast if it doesn't sell by then. And that's pretty much the process. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes a buyer that we know is perfect for this deal is another wholesaler. And we know that they have the buyer for this. And
Mhm.
so we'll go and get it to them. And then it's like, while also it's going out on that text blast, we'll send it out to other wholesalers that just have general criteria, or, we know that they have some buyers and that they could still possibly go and sell this. But the goal is to try and get it to the buyer that we know is perfect for this deal first. And so that has to be a text and a call, not either or. It goes both. You call them or text them first. It doesn't matter, but you have to do both.
Got you. And are you texting? You said is just your VIPs first, or are you texting or your people that are more suited for the deal, and also all of your other buyers that don't have a specific criteria, or are you separating them in different timelines of the sales
Um,
process?
so I would say, well, yeah, it's if the VIPs are people that are like, hey, I buy all over Tucson, send me everything, then yeah,
Mhm.
we'll send them pretty much everything we come across. And same with Phoenix. But if they're like, hey, don't send me anything West Valley, and this is a West Valley deal, we're not going to send it to that person that we consider a VIP buyer, you know? And so we're just really trying to get it in front of the people we think have this criteria, and this is the perfect opportunity for them. And sometimes we know that the price may not work, but we just know that this property would work. And like, not all wholesalers know how to price deals correctly. And so, but the power of the dispo process is getting someone that's actually ready to go on this deal. And if they want that type of deal, they're most likely going to be the highest paying buyer. And then we can still go back to that wholesaler and be like, hey, this is where this buyer's at. Can we make this work? And then a lot of the times they'll either be like, yes, like, no, I don't have the contract at that price. And then we just keep following up and following up until they can get the contract at that price.
I love it. Got you. And so, talk to me. Give me some tips on how you guys sell deals faster and for more money. What are some tips that you've learned along the years?
Just, you got to find buyers' criteria. See, the thing is with being on a dispo, more so of a dispo model of selling deals and wholesaling properties, the thing is, yeah, we're trying to serve the seller, we're trying to serve the wholesaler, we're trying to serve the agent, right? But at the end of the day, the one person that needs to be served the most is the buyer, right? Like, all we're really trying to do is just silver platter you stuff like that. You don't have to really lift up a finger and you're like, bro, this is a killer opportunity, I'll take this. So really trying to serve the buyers, get them opportunities that they do want to see, because they know when you call or you text next time, it's an opportunity that they need to pick up the phone,
Mhm.
and that's how you can sell your deals a lot faster and higher. And like, when you do that too, you'll have like, I can't tell you, it probably happens at least once a day where we have buyers that will call us and it's not one of our deals. And they're like, hey, have you guys seen this property go around? can you go and find this for me? I'd rather work with you guys on it. When you have that level of service to your buyers, you could go and make deals work that you had no idea about. And
Yeah.
so it's a completely different level.
That's incredible. I've never heard that before. That's a different level of dispo. Having your buyers send you deals, say, "Hey, I'll buy this. Just give me it at this price." That's
Yeah,
incredible.
dude, it happens at least once a day. Like, hey, I saw
Wow.
someone sent this out. I'd rather work with you guys. Can you go and help me find this? And sometimes it doesn't work, right? But I would say it still works probably once a week, and it's just like they just know that we're ready to go and do whatever it takes to get this deal across the finish line. Like, dude, when you provide a level of service to the point where, dude, there was a deal I did with a buyer, and I had to perform for this buyer. I did not want to perform for the wholesaler. I like literally did not want to do the deal. The wholesaler was bugging me and just kept bringing all this random stuff up, pretty much just kept cutting my cost down in a certain way. And then I ended up having to come to the table with $1,000 to get the deal done. I didn't even make a dime on it. I lost $1,000 on it. But after that deal, when that buyer realized what had happened, he told me he'll never purchase from another wholesaler again. So it's like, yeah, I may have lost $1,000 on that deal, but I'll do way more deals with this guy and I'll make my money back so much faster.
You'll
So
make
it's
your money
like,
back on the next deal.
exactly. And it's about the service and the relationship with that buyer. When you're literally bringing them the stuff they want, when you're making sure that this deal is gonna close and you're gonna do everything in your power, they want to work with you. There's other wholesalers that don't communicate. They go and they have an opportunity out there, and some title issue comes up, so they're like, screw it, I'm done with this deal. Hey buyer, we're giving you your earnest money back, whatever. But it's like, no, if that happens, it's like, hey bro, no, he's keeping his EMD in. We're going to do everything we can and make sure that this thing closes. And then if like all this other stuff ends up happening where we actually can't do anything, then it's like, hey bro, yeah, we'll give you your earnest money back. But we're going to make sure that we're going to do everything in our power to be able to get this deal to the finish line.
I love it. I love it. And you mentioned getting your buyer's criteria is key. What are some of the key questions you're asking or having in conversations with your buyers to, number one, obviously get their criteria, but also as early as possible build a relationship and show that you are somebody that can bring them serious business?
I mean, so you have to call your buyers with the mindset of that these people already have $5,000 that they're going to go and bring to the table,
Mm.
um, that on a property that they want. So you just have to go and find out what kind of opportunity that is. And, we have a ton of inventory majority of the time in Arizona. So it's like we could have that opportunity right now, so like a good question to ask is literally, what's that perfect opportunity for you where you're just like, heck yes, I'll take it. You don't even need to walk it or anything, and I just want that house. I just want that house. What does that look like for you? And, they could tell you, oh, I just want anything in Arizona. Okay, so you'll go wherever the money's at, or you're really just trying to stay close to home? Like, you still have to sometimes ask the question a couple different ways to find out exactly what that criteria is. And so once you actually get it, then you can start to silver platter things to them.
I love it. And then are you guys how do you guys have a continued communication with your buyers? Are you guys like calling all three your buyers list every 6 months in case like criterias change, or let's say there's a market shift? Are you guys reaching back out to your buyers and getting an updated criteria from them? How do you guys handle stuff like that?
So I think it's more dependent upon inventory, what we have in. If we're always trying to put stuff in front of our buyers, and then also like how much is happening on the intake side. So like, are we skip chasing a ton of buyers today? If we are, then they're gonna have a ton of people to cold call today. But if not, and you're just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs, then go and call through all of your existing buyers. So whenever you feel that point where it's like, I don't feel like I have much to do right now, go and call through your existing buyers and ask them how their projects are going or has their criteria changed. Oh, and always call your buyers that you've sold deals to and ask them how that project is going. Send me pictures, bro. I want to see that. Like, what's going on with it? Dude, I can't wait to see that thing get on market. Like, that it's gonna look killer. Just like random stuff like that. So it's like whenever you're not working an opportunity, go through and call your existing buyers. Has your criteria changed? No. Cool, brand. Like, I'm still looking for you. Don't worry. Like, we got you in mind. We don't have that one in right now, but you'll be the first to know when it comes in.
I love it. I love it. And so, how are you guys then sourcing these buyers and
Um,
finding these cash buyers?
a couple different ways. Um, Obviously, if you're in your market, the easiest way is to go and actually go to meetups and get out in the field, because that belly to belly relationship with people, it grows so much stronger when you see people face to face. Like, that's how you grow really, really strong relationships. However, that shouldn't hold you back to go and do deals in another market that you're not present in, because you can still go and we use PropWire. I really like PropWire a lot to go and just skip trace buyers, find buyers off PropWire. And then I also use Privy. Those are probably my two biggest softwares to just go and find LLCs of people that are doing flips and buy and holds that we can go and contact.
Love it. Love it. And so talk to me about I'm just going to run through some KPIs that you may or may not track in your business and tell me just for the audience like what they should really expect if they want to do what you're doing. So if somebody wants to go and start talking to real estate agents and they want to start building a funnel of agents, how many agents should they be contacting either on a daily or a weekly basis when first getting started to really see deal flow starting to come?
So I think that with agents, you have to have about 75 to 100 outbound calls a day. And that may not include text messages. You need to definitely be texting these people too. Real estate agents are busy people.
Hmm.
And so a lot of them are going to be at a showing, or they're going to be driving around or at an appointment. So they're not going to go and pick up that call every single time. So also text them. So you need to have about a 75 to 100 outbound messages a day. And you can include text messages in that, but for sure 75 to 100 to actually get the ball rolling within about 90 days. And
Love
then,
it.
yeah, I would say a good rule of thumb is to have about 100 outbound messages, whether it is a call or a text to whoever you're talking to.
Love it, love it, love it. And then would you say the same thing then for wholesalers, right? Because that was gonna be my next question. Would you say maybe finding 100 wholesalers deals or talk to 100 wholesalers a day is reasonable?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, so it depends on how you're reaching out to, though, because like if you're going
Hmm.
on Facebook, like I think Facebook limits you to like 50 messages a day before you start to get recognized as spam. So if you're going through Facebook, then 50, but you can also use other sources like LinkedIn and Instagram and stuff like that. And so if you could go and get 50 messages out a day, like 50 DMs on all three of those platforms, that's 150 a day, and you're definitely going to get some responses back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then how how many deals do you have to look at from a wholesaler to really find one deal that
From
you can market to your buyers?
So from one wholesaler or from multiple wholesalers?
I guess from multiple wholesalers. Like if you were to go and you had all the deals in front of you, how many would you have to look through to find one deal?
Now I think it's a lot less, because our mentality is not, unless it's like a really, really, really crappy deal. It's like, this thing is a freaking full gut and you're trying to sell it at 300K and the ARV is 350. Like, I'm not even going to send that to them. But if it's like kind of close within like 25, maybe 30K, I'll still go and send it to them, because I know that this is an opportunity that they'll like, and I'd rather go and get a number on it and then bring it back to that wholesaler to see if we can make it work. Um, so now I think it's a little less, where when I first started, I was a lot pickier, and I would say it was definitely around like 100 deals to find one that I would even want to send out.
Hmm.
Now I would say it's probably anywhere from like 25 to 50 that we look at before we actually want to send it out. And also another thing too is like, dude, some of these buyers, they just buy for random reasons. And like they can literally just like this property because they just like it. Like we sold a deal one time. I know for a fact no one else was ever going to buy this deal. It was at like 80% of ARV and it still needed work. But I was like, whatever. It's a really good friend of mine's deal. I'll just put it on my email and see if anyone bites. This guy calls me and he's like, hey, I want this deal. I'll deposit right now. I'm like, cool. Like I didn't ask any questions or anything. I was like, cool, let's do it. And then like later while we're in escrow, I asked him like, hey, why did you want this house? And he's like, oh, I have a restaurant like right down the street and I just needed a place to go and store more materials in. And it's like, what? Like I would
Mhm.
never, you would never think that, you know, like that's just such a random reason. So it's like sometimes, yeah, this deal may not work price wise, but someone on your list may just have a very specific reason that they want this deal. They can own a rental right next to it and be like, I don't even care what price this is at. I just want this deal because I own the next door property. You know, like we've had stuff happen like that too. So you never know why people are buying. So it can, when you have a ton of buyers, you can start to shorten the amount of deals that you have to look at before you actually want to go and send it out.
I love that. I've had those same situations happen where I feel like this deal is iffy, but when you put it out, you'll be surprised at the answers, you'll get. I had a piece of land one time in like the hood, and our hood is like houses priced between, 50 to $60,000. So like the land is worth basically nothing. But I got this piece of land literally for free from the seller. Seller wanted $0 and he owed nothing on it. So it was literally a free piece of land. All buyer had to pay was closing costs. And we ended up finding a buyer that paid us, I think it was like 5 or 6 grand for that land. And I was baffled. It's like, huh? Why? I was asked him like, why are you buying this piece of land? And he said, you know what? I just want a project for my son. When he grows up, he can take care of a piece of property so he can be taught responsibility. And I was like, that is the most interesting response I've ever gotten from a buyer. But hey, I'm up for it. Let's get this deal done.
Yeah, right? You never know
Yeah.
why. And like they want it sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And then other than those metrics, is there anything else that you guys are tracking in within your business to keep accountable to and to just track growth?
Yeah, I mean, we keep track. We look quarter over quarter, like what kind of trends we're having. We look at, you know, how obviously how many text messages are we sending out? This is what we look at actually every day. We
Mm.
look at how many text messages are we sending, how many calls are going out, how many of those are incoming calls, what's our total talk time, and how many opportunities are we bringing in a day. Those are the 5 metrics that we really look at every single day. Everything else is either like a month to month basis or a quarter to quarter basis, which is kind of just looking at numbers, projections. You know, how much do we do this month? Where did the most deals come from this month? Or, you know, stuff like that.
Right. Right. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that breakdown. That really takes, because with Dispo, I see a lot of people, they do it as kind of like a part of their business, but I don't see a lot of people, at least from where I do business at, really master Dispo to actually be able to just fully be able to Dispo deals and have a thriving business like yourself to do. So I just love getting the metrics from these things because I have an analytical brain to really put it together. So thank you for that breakdown. Um, what are your goals in the next 3 years of your business?
The next 3 years of my business, I would really like to be in 5 different markets. And I'll probably have a team in each market. I don't know how I feel about having one team doing multiple markets. I would probably be a team in each market. I
Mhm.
would really like to be in 5 markets, and I would like to be trying to buy as much property as I can. I would like to get into other opportunities and like learn how to raise money, do stuff like that to buy other opportunities. And I would say within wholesale, that's probably the biggest thing is I would like to be in 5 markets and really just trying to buy as much opportunity as I can as well.
I love it. What are your goals that you see for yourself in the next 10 years?
10 years, man. 10 years, I would like to probably I would love to buy other businesses and get into yeah, doing stuff like that. I would love to buy other businesses. I would love to be able to travel the world pretty much whenever I want rather than just like, oh, I can do this right now for a couple months and then I should probably get back home.
Mm.
Um I want to be able to travel. I would love to have places pretty much like all over the US, all over the world that I could go and travel to. Have friends in different countries and be able to have like masterminds, my own community in all those areas too. And yeah, just still continuing to grow business wise within real estate. I don't think I'll ever actually end up leaving real estate. I think that things will just kind of grow within real estate, and then other opportunities will start to source itself outside of real estate. And so that's pretty much what I see in the next 10 years for sure.
I love that. If you had one piece of advice for someone that was just getting started, what would that piece of advice be?
You are the average of the 5 people you're around the most. And like, it is so true. Whenever I see myself start to think differently in a good way or a bad way, I realize it's because I'm hanging around different people. And it could go good or bad. So it's like, if you don't like the environment that you're in right now, you got to get out of that environment and get to an environment that you actually want to be in. Like, go and look at people that are doing the thing that you want in life and go and try and hang around those type of people. Or if they have the goal of doing that thing and are actually striving to go and do that, go and hang around those people. Like, you need to be around people that are trying to either strive after the thing that you want in life or have the thing that you want in life. And I think that is probably the most important thing, because your mindset will change, your habits will change, and you will actually start to achieve the thing that you do want. So I would say that's my number one piece of advice.
And I agree with that 100%. How do people find people that are on the same path as them?
Bro, I mean, with social media nowadays, it's actually so much easier than people think. Like, you just got to go and reach out to people on, you could go and reach out to people on social media. I think also a great place to meet people is the gym. Like, these people are obviously there trying to better themselves. So go and just talk to people at the gym. And like, you don't have to go and have a 30-minute conversation with someone at the gym. Like, you're obviously there to go and work out, but like a 2 to 3 minute conversation today and a 2 to 3 minute conversation tomorrow, and then the next day and the next day and the next day, you're going to have a lot of talk time with this person and end up actually knowing what they're doing, what their goals are, and can become friends with people from the gym. I think the gym is a great place to go and meet people. So I mean, stuff like that. And also obviously like networking events. Like, just go and look up events for stuff that you want to do.
I love it. I love. I haven't heard that answer before on the podcast, the gym, but I do agree with that. I do see that with myself. A lot of the uh, more interesting people that I've seen, I've met at the gym coincidentally, right? And people that would just vibe with weren't necessarily in real estate, right? They had their own goals in life, and they were doing big things in their own endeavors, but all came from the gym, which is a good reason to invest in a really good gym.
For sure. And like, go early, you know?
Yeah. I had this thing with my friend. We used to go. Trying to train myself out of being a night owl, and I'm having a very hard time doing that. I used to go to the gym. I tried to go to the gym. I did it consistently for about a month, going at 5 o'clock every single day at the gym. And what I found was, and I would say this to my friend that I would go with, at nighttime, you'd see a couple of nice cars, right? You might see a Tesla, you may see a Benz, you may see, whatever. When you go in the mornings, that number just multiplies by like 2, 3 times, right? It's like you see 10, BMW, Benz, all, whatever nice car you think, that you want, it's there. Uh, and I was joking with my friends like, "Hey, man, look, this is the money time. This is where the people with the money go to the gym." And we could literally see it, like the proof was right in front of us. Like we'd walk in and like there's all these nice cars. Like, oh shit, I talked about wanting this car. It's right in front of me. And this guy goes to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. That should tell you something.
Right. And like, yeah, they all got busy lives. So they're trying to go and do that before they go and get into their other things.
Exactly. Exactly. If you could give one piece of advice to yourself, if you can go back in time to when you first got started, what would that piece of advice be?
I think, I think that would just be like, try to filter your thoughts more, or unfilter your thoughts. Like, there are so many times where I would go and look at this list. I'm like, oh, this person wouldn't sell. Like, this person's not going to answer the phone. Probably shouldn't connect with this person. And not that I wasn't making calls, like I was still going and connecting with people, but you never know who you're going to end up talking to. So it's like if you can actually go and unfilter your thoughts to the point where you just immediately go and take action, you're going to get a lot further ahead a lot quicker. So just you like not having that limited mindset, you don't really know what's actually going to happen. You just have to go and take that action to go and find out what's actually going to happen.
I love that. I love that. Matt, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the pod, man. I mean, I think we covered a lot. I think you added a lot of value to the people that are going to watch this, man. So thank you very much for coming on, man. Before we go, is there any last words?
No, dude, I just want to say, like, I really appreciate you having me on. This is such a blessing that, we've been able to connect to and see each other grow in different areas. Like, this is one of my other favorite things about real estate is meeting other people, young hustlers like yourself, that are absolutely crushing it somewhere else, and us being able to collaborate and talk about things that work for one another. Like, dude, this is just such a blessing, and I'm super grateful for this. And I just want to say thank you for having me on.
Man, the feeling is reciprocated, man. And likewise. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
Instagram is probably the best, and it's just Matthew Justice 22. I recently started posting on YouTube as well, and it's the same thing, Matthew Justice 22. So you can find me on both, but
Awesome.
Instagram's the easiest way for you to reach out to me.
Awesome. And then I'll have both those links, both his Instagram and YouTube in the description so you guys can check them out. Matt, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much. This was the Real Tales Podcast. I'll see you next time. Bye.